Sairam students, and welcome back. In this session, we will continue with the chapter The Tree Doctor. I hope students, you all have viewed the Tree Doctor chapter number 4, part 1. Those who have still not done, I would request them to view the part 1 and also complete the assignments. Now, before we continue with the chapter, we will first recap whatever we have learned in this part 1 video. And I'm sure students, you all are ready with a pen and a notebook to write all the important points that we are going to discuss today. So, let's begin with the recap. This chapter, The Tree Doctor, is a short biography of the famous Japanese botanist. There was a typhoon roared and howled through the Hiroshima, Japan, tearing many trees and buildings and had uprooted many ancient trees. There was a great Chinese nettle tree laid upon the ground, split 4 meters above the root due to this typhoon. Hiroshima was the first site of the very first atomic bomb, where hundreds of thousands of people and trees were killed and injured. Due to this blast, half of the nettle tree trunk was burnt black. It began to wither and die. But children from Motomachi Elementary School, with the help of Dr. Yamano, nursed it back to life. Students, we also learned that this nettle tree was not an ordinary one. This tree had survived from the atomic bomb many years earlier on August 1945 and was again damaged by a typhoon in August 1984. Still, this tree could survive. This proves that this tree was a precious one as it could face many unpleasant situations. Dr. Yamano loves trees and mountains, and he cares for trees just like other doctors care for humans. Dr. Yamano had saved many trees, and this nettle tree was 828th tree which he had saved. Students, we also learned that Dr. Yamano had a unique method to check or test these trees. He pressed both his hands against the tree and closed his eyes to focus on its breathing. During this process, he could feel through his palm moisture, and he could also sense the tree breathing. The children of Motomachi School was relieved when Dr. Yamano announced that this nettle tree, will live after its therapy. He gave some instructions to the children and he asked them to follow until the single bud appeared on the broken tree. Students, we also studied about Dr. Tadaiko Yamano, that he was born in Osaka, Japan in 1900. He had spent many years in foreign countries working in forest management. He made people realize that trees are home to many creatures, including humans. He saw how trees store water and protect us from floods. I hope students, you all have understood till here. And now I will read the chapter further and explain you along with the new words. After the Second World War, when he walked in the mountains, he sensed that many ancient trees had lost their vitality. He was very concerned. In Japan, you will find braided straw ropes tied around the trunks of very large old trees, especially in shrine grounds or along mountain paths. This is a sign of worship and respect. Those who live close to nature believe that gods and spirit resides within the mountains and trees, and they take great care to protect these trees. It seemed to Dr. Yamano that he could hear the soul of these old trees calling out to him in their suffering. Students, in these two paragraphs, we understand that the people of Japan were extremely respectful towards the trees. Those who live close to nature believes that God and Spirit reside within the trees and mountains, and then they take great care to protect these trees. Now students, let me tell you how the people of Japan used to worship trees. After the Second World War, many ancient trees lost their vitality, or you can say they lost their life. The people of Japan, with a great respect in their heart towards the trees, they would tie the tree trunk of large or old trees with straw ropes, especially in holy places or along mountains path. And this was considered as sign of worship and respect. Dr. Yamano, when he used to walk in the mountains, he could hear the soul of these trees calling for help. I hope students, you all have understood till here, and now it's time to learn and write few new words. The first word is vitality. Vitality means energy. The next is concerned. Concern means worried. Then shrine. Shrine means holy place. The last word is braided. Braided means plaited. I hope students, you all have learned and written these new words. And now it's time to read further. In order to save the trees, however, he must first study them. He would also have to make medicines for their treatment. All of this would take time and money, but Dr. Yamano had very little money. His family, however, understood his firm resolve, and they stood behind him while he worked at night and studies during the day. Students, here we can understand or we can imagine the way Dr. Yamano had struggled in his life. Dr. Yamano needed academic training and finance to prepare medicines. He belonged from a poor family, but still his parents supported him and helped in his day and night hard work. His family stood behind him and Yamano toiled on the double. And in due course, Yamano devised or worked out his revolutionary treatment methods. I hope students, you all have understood till here, and now let's read further. In those days, damaged trees were reinforced by filling holes and cracks with concrete. This method was developed in Europe well over a centuries ago. But Dr. Yamano felt that trees are living beings just as we are. In order to allow them to take in water, air and nourishment, he decided to use earth, not concrete, to fill any cracks. Students, here we understand that in Europe, damaged part of tree was strengthened by filling the holes and cracks with concrete. And this method was not an organic method. Students, do you all know what is concrete method? Here in this chapter, concrete means filling the damaged part with mixture of sand, stone, cement and water. And this is not an organic method. Dr. Yamano made everyone believe that trees are living beings just like we are. He believes that trees can be medicated with water, air and nourishment. And for that, he started using the earth, that is soil, to fill any cracks. Students, I hope you all have understood till here, and now it's time to study and write new words. The first one, firm. Firm means hard. Then the next is reinforced. Reinforced means strengthened. Then is concrete. Concrete means a building material made from a mixture of broken stones, sand, cement and water to fill holes and cracks. Then the next is nourishment. Nourishment means the food necessary for growth, health, and good condition. I hope students you all have understood these new words and you all have written also. And now let's continue with this chapter. He cut off badly damaged parts and cleaned the trees with the brush. He also gave them injections of nutrients and medicine that he himself developed. This combination of internal and external treatment was unheard of at the time, and at first other scholars and specialists ignored his efforts. Students, this is a unique and amazing therapy made by Dr. Yamano. He used to cut off the badly damaged part of the tree and then he will clean the tree with a brush. Later, he used to inject the trees. Now, this is something surprising, isn't it, student? As we have never heard earlier trees getting injected. But yes, Dr. Yamano had prepared injections of nutrients and medicine that he himself developed. This combination of internal and external treatment made his method superior. It took into account the fact that trees were living things. Earlier, the treatment was unheard. Other scholars and specialists ignored Dr. Yamano's method or efforts. I hope students you all have understood till here. And now let us understand Dr. Yamano's success. But these methods worked. Many old trees revived and put forth new buds. He is now known all over the world as the tree doctor, the man who saves aged and sick trees. And his research and work have been taken up by young people who are helping to save trees. Students, here we understand that Dr. Yamano's therapy worked and many old trees were back to life. And today, all over the world, he is known as the tree doctor, the man who saved aged and sick trees. And let me tell you one more important thing, students. Even today, his research and works are carried forward by young people and farmers who help to save trees. Alright students, I hope you all have understood this chapter. And now it's time we will learn some more new words. The first one is nutrients. Nutrients means a substance essential for overall healthy growth. Then the next is revived. Revived means came back to life. I hope students you all have learned and written these new words. And now it's time to understand the value points of this chapter. Students, this piece is a short biography of the famed Japanese botanist and tree doctor, Dr. Tadaiko Yamano. He was born in Osaka in 1900. Yamano shared a deep love of mountains and trees with the countrymen. He trained abroad in forest management, which only deepened his love and understanding of tree life. Although the Japanese had always held nature in high regard, the excess of the Second World War had left their mark on the forest of the country. This crisis was compounded by inorganic European tree maintenance method, involved using concrete to reinforce sick trees. To change all of this, Yamano needed academic training. His finances were poor, but his family supported his drive. They stood by him and Yamano toiled on the double. In due course, Yamano devised his revolutionary tree treatment method involving earth instead of concrete and his personal medical formula. Like all new things, his methods were initially scoffed at, but in due course, his brilliance was evident at all. To this day, this method are applied across the world. Now, here's an incident that shows the respect for trees by both Japan and Dr. Yamano. A great Chinese nettle tree in Hiroshima was survivor of the atomic bomb, and this was badly damaged again by a typhoon in August 1984. The injury to the tree brought out people from their homes. In due course, Dr. Yamano was called upon, who, with the help of children, proceeded to save his 828th tree. Students, I hope you all have understood this chapter, and now it's time to understand reference to the context. We have already understood earlier that reference to the context involves an explanation of a quote or a particular stanza. Like in this case, we will refer these lines. In Japan, you will often find braided straw ropes tied around the trunks of very large old trees. Now, the first question is, why was this done? Students, can you all think of a correct answer? I'm sure you all have understood the chapter and you all are thinking the correct answer. Let me tell you the correct answer. Braided straw ropes was tied around the trunk of very large old trees as a sign of worship and respect. The next question is, where was such trees mostly found? Students, can you think of this correct answer? Yes, I'm sure you all have understood this chapter very well. Let me tell you the correct answer. Braided straw ropes trees were mostly found in the shrine grounds or along the mountains path. We'll move towards the next question. What had happened to them after the Second World War? Let's look at the answer. After the Second World War, many ancient trees of Japan lost their vitality. I'm sure, students, this reference to the context is clear to everyone. And now, it's time for assignment. As you all know, students, you will be getting a link. You need to click on that link. And very important, you have to complete the assignment. And then click on submit button. Alright students, Sai Ram and take care.